not real sure like how this weekend's going to play out. And then you mentioned that Jesse seemed a little bit nervous, quiet. And then I got the impression with Carson, he didn't know that he even deserved to be there. It was a really weird dynamic there because these other guys that all won races, earlier in the season. Obviously, Connor has had just an epic year. It wasn't fun to watch those guys and just kind of read their body language.
Yeah, opening lap of practice for Zillich puts him 11. Let's get a report from Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, and as we think about Connor at Phoenix, finished 4th here in the fall and finished 16th in the spring, but Richard Marty Lindley has told me time and again the second half of the season he is a very different driver than he was the beginning of the year, or even when he made some starts here and there at the end of last year in the Xfinity Series. So he said instead of kind of comparing what we've done at Phoenix and the 2 starts he has, we're kind of looking at Gateway. Think about Gateway. It's a similar track they would put in the same category as Phoenix. He had never run Worldwide Technology Race there. Went out there, won the pole, won stage 1, won the race. So he felt like it was a better analogy to look at Connor at Gateway because of the difference in kind of the driver he is during this portion of the season than he was earlier in the year, than to straight up compare it to Phoenix. But Connor, more than nervous, he said, I'm just anxious. I'm ready to go. I am ready to get in this car and race. So a lot of the enthusiasm coming from the 88 team.
Trying to become the 4th rookie driver to win the championship. All would have done it for Junior Motorsports. We've got Elliott, William Byron able to deliver, as well as Tyler Reddick.
We've got some split strategies as Zillich goes P1 on the board here. So you had Jesse go out immediately. Zillich a little bit behind him. And the one car, Carson Coppola, and that man right there, Justin Allgaier, were sitting on pit road this entire time, just waiting to go. Carson Coppola took off, and now Justin is
going to don't be crazy. I mean, I don't know what the track transition will do, but definitely got speed. He's doing anything crazy, out of ordinary.
Looks really good. Showing you because we might be a little bit free off the use fast line down there. Maybe he went in a little bit, but if we can top that, make that work down there, I like it a lot.
I remember I'm like, let him go. You don't have to race it to beat him. Go. Yeah, that was a smart choice. He went through a lot, though, for sure, last year. Almost being 2 laps down at one point in the race. And the frustration you saw in practice is because of the time that these guys put into their primary cars.
So good. I didn't touch any fans. Yeah, and every time I got on a run, I caught the 88 and I caught the Sam Hunt car, so like I backed off.
Not just because I like disagreeing with Parker, but I like the strategy of the 7 and waiting a little bit to go out, just because I think it's a more
realistic. You want to mark your steering right here? You want to wait
track for what you're going to have.
I'll do it when I get out.
Rubber being laid down. It didn't seem to hurt Zillich on his overall lap time.
67.
We'll see what Justin can do here. It's taken him about 4 or 5 laps to get the air pressure built up and get the
working 5 here, working 5 on tires.
You're allowed to just disagree with me. Well, I mean, I hurt my feelings. I mean, everyone has a Pooh Bear there on the right. Everybody has a little different strategy in how they're gonna, approach this. It's just hard to go against 7. You see how loose the 7 is here.
Trying to get across the middle, just kind of waiting on it.
We had a little
and then as the run went, I started getting a little freer on entry and exit, and my center stayed kind of on the tight side.
That nickname, and they actually, the tire guy wore a Winnie the Pooh costume today. The tires in the garage.
That's full in on Harry right there.
It's going to free up.
It just shows
like it just did.
What all these guys think of you.
I'd probably work
how
on
highly,
some entry and exit stuff.
They think about the ability
more
you
so
have
than
and
the center. I mean, the center wasn't bad. I just have to grab a little extra brake right across the middle to keep it turning.
Hey, and just to kind of speak to the confidence these guys have this week, and I walked up to Jim earlier and said, everybody brings their best stuff. Everybody's, guys have improved since the start of the year. I asked him, you still feel like you're the car to beat here? And he looked at me in deadpan and said, are you kidding? We're at Phoenix. Of course we are. So I think they feel pretty good about things. And the good thing about where they're at, just with their confidence and their setup, is they can try some things here in the opening minutes of this practice and still feel confident enough to fall back on what they've got from notebooks in the past. So I think you're seeing that here. Justin indicated they may try a couple things on the first couple of runs here. Ultimately, if they don't work, they've learned that, and they know what they do have does work. So a good spot to be in for the 7.
All championship 4 drivers have been on track. We talk about Zillich, Love, Allgaier. Here's Carson Coppola,
copy that.
14th and 3rd in line.
That right rear shock's adjustable, correct?
Eligible for the title here tomorrow evening.
And this is a really important practice for him. You mentioned how when we spoke to him, it almost got the impression like they didn't deserve to be here, haven't won a race yet.
But also, if you look back at his race here in the spring, didn't really get many good laps at this place. They had brake issues, which hurt them, so he's really figuring this place. Oh, wow, got real loose there off of turn 2. That can easily happen. You'll want the car out, but I feel like these laps are really important for Carson.
All clear.
You know, we always talk about the last weekend on the NASCAR schedule. It's kind of like the last day of school. We need to bring in our 6th classmate.
Drive off at 2 is good.
What's happening?
Entry to 3 is fine.
I appreciate that.
If I hit the paint, I'm a little bit free. If I don't hit the paint, I'm a little bit tight. The paint just affects the balance a lot. So my drive off is pretty stellar on both ends.
All right, our pace is pretty damn sporty. So, feel good about that. I look at these tire wears when you get, or tire sheet when you get in here. And then we'll just get him some data here.
I feel like he seemed a little bit more relaxed when we talked to him earlier this week. He said, you know, I don't have to worry about stage points in this race or what car to be in front of. I can just go out and race, try to win this one. And he said, yeah, I don't have a win yet, but I also don't have as much to lose as maybe some of the other competitors. So maybe it's the least amount of pressure that he has in this race, even though it is the championship.
You know, the other element that maybe takes pressure off, we found out last couple of days, he's going to be full-time next year. Most of it with Junior Motorsports, a good portion of it in that one car with Rodney Childers as the crew chief, but really good news for a driver that can come back in year 2, back up what he did in his rookie season. The other rookie leading the way, Connor Zilich's dream campaign. Who could have imagined 10 wins, a regular...
Drag your feet just a little bit here. He's got full straightaway. We'll jump in behind him. Got 16 and then 7. 16's at the line now, and 7's at the line. All right, come 16. Come to 7, and you're all good right there.
Be second gear 2 green when you get there.
How are we there?
B29 at the moment. Let's talk to Aiden.
Yeah, 10-4. I'm building a little loose center, and I kind of was loose center off since the start.
Is your loose center on throttle, or were you still free rolling?
On throttle.
Copy. How's your entry?
Entry feels fine.
Okay, 10-4. Have you worked with your bias at all?
No, I haven't touched it yet.
All right, 10-4. Let's nose it in here. We'll look at everything real quick.
10-4.
How many numbers would you say that loose is?
Like a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to fit in here.
The center, so I can't carry as much speed as I want through the center. What do you see up there, Will?
Yeah, to me, it's all like late entry to carrying through the center. These guys are still able to keep the wrap, and we're just, we're half a lane up off the bottom. 1 and 2, like where you're exiting is correct. I think we're 2 or 3 miles an hour slower than where we need to be, but we do need to hit that line no matter what. 3 and 4 down here, we have to be on the yellow line, so it's whatever you need to do, whatever the car needs to do better, we need to find right here, because we need to be able to wrap the line in 3 and 4 and stay out of the rubber.
10-4. I just have that tight 4-wheel slide getting to the center. I saw that weird steering wheel thing, really weird steering wheel thing getting in, and I'm starting.
This makes for great TV, you know?
Designed itself well for this sort of camera.
What's your evaluation so far? Obviously, Connor's leading the way.
Well, and he's obviously the fastest on one lap. Jesse Love there is in third, but what I've been looking at is if you look at the 5, 10, and 15 lap averages, Jesse Love leads that. Connor Zilich on 15 laps is all the way down in fourth. So
the only thing that might skew that is that
you want to let me finish, or are you just going to just butt in?
What might skew that is that they did Parker's theory, and they went out immediately, and the track might have been marginally quicker, right? Yep. The only reason I bring that up is that if I'm Jesse Love and I look at that, I'm going to have an asterisk next to it, like, okay, I know that I look good there, but what was the balance of my car? Or if I'm on the other end of it, I'm like, okay, well, he went out early. Maybe there's a little bit of an advantage.
I think in a practice like this where we have high tire fall off for over a second and 15 laps, I always think it's very important. And when you only have one set, you're only going to make one change. You don't want to put too many heat cycles on these tires. You really have to be in tune with almost putting the timing sheet away and saying, what is my car doing? Because you know, especially if you're Jesse Love, who's raced here multiple times, you know what that feel is you need. And you got to look for that. So I do agree. I agree with you is what I was getting to.
Hey, we're talking about the Championship 4. There's an owner's title on the line tomorrow night as well, and still alive in that equation is the 19 of Eric Almirola. He qualified for the playoffs on the owner's side when he won here in the springtime. Just an epic finish between he, Alex Bowman in the 17. Brandon Jones was there. He had Justin Allgaier. It was amazing.
That was so fun.
It was as good as it gets at the end of the
We were up here in the booth and it's like, oh, yeah. So cool. And they were 4 wide off of 2 at one point there. And he was all up in the wall, basically. Just an epic finish. Classic Xfinity Series racing. And this place often does have great finishes. The way the corners are and where the start-finish line is, you see that where it just lines up in that perfect moment, and it's the back car has so much control and can have affect the front car so much down into 3 and 4 that it lines up for great finishes.
One thing that sticks out to me as I look at Eric's windshield on the left side there, you'll see there's a little more tape that goes down because as you go into turn 3 here, the sun, it goes through the crack in the grandstands and it's blinding. And at some tracks you only have that for just like 1 second. Here you have it for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And you can't see anything for a point in the race. So the guys will tape that windshield down, and because this track is fairly flat, you can tape it down a little bit more than you can at some of the higher baked racetracks where the car gets tilted up. It's harder to see around the corner, but see Eric's planning ahead for that. It's honestly not even a big deal once the sun goes down here to have the windshield taped down a little more.
One thing that stuck out to me there, Adam, is how low he is on the racetrack. And this place is so funny as it continues to age. You know, the grip, the thought process was there was grip on that yellow line with your left sides. And then we've seen it just drift lower and lower. And at times you'll see cars all the way down there run around on the flat. And it looks weird, but there's grip. And now he's going to help.
A couple weeks ago, we were racing at Talladega. There is out of bounds. At Phoenix, there's no out of bounds, except on restarts. And that's something we'll talk about undoubtedly at some point throughout the weekend. Back down to Dylan.
Jesse Love is third right now and back in the garage area making some adjustments. This is his feedback to crew chief Danny Stockman. Listen.
The car is ridiculous taking off. It's really good. A lot of grip. Entry to 1 is stable. Entry to 3 is stable. Center 1 and 2 is a little bit snug. I might be over driving a little bit, so I can help some of it. Drive off of 2 is good. Entry to 3 is fine. And my drive off is pretty stellar on both ends.
So really detailed and specific feedback there, and he just came back on the radio as he sits here and made an amendment to that and said, I need some more turn. Connor, speaking about Connor Zilic, is able to drive into the corner harder than I am and get the car turned. I need more of that if we're going to keep up with him. So already comparing themselves to the guys they're going to have to race tomorrow.
I couldn't help but think as I saw his crew chief Danny Stockman stick his head in the car, what a sense of relief it is for the 2 car to go out. And we talked about it's the most important practice session of the entire season. And as a crew chief, they set these cars up. As a driver, you get in it, you're like, man, I hope we've made the right decisions. And the sense of relief to know that it felt pretty good. What I picked up on out of the conversation was he was very optimistic. Everything was good, everything was good, everything was good. Then he saw Connor's lap times, a little bit of data. He's like, hey, I think I need a little more turn in the middle, right? Like, let's try to make it just a little bit better.
And it confirms it for you. It's almost like you have a hypothesis, and you're like, I think this, and then you get this chance to look at that tablet or laptop that he's looking at. He's looking at SMT, which overlays with Connor, and he's going to see that little differences and go, okay, that confirms it. I do need that.
Hey, I look real quick at the bumper, 15-lap average. All 4 of our championship guys are there. It's not as much about where they are, but the fact that they're all there and that they were confident enough in what they have to go out and make that 15-lap run, I would say at some level is encouraging for all these teams. Now let's do the 4 driver shakeup for the week. Sam Mayer suspended. It was announced by NASCAR on Tuesday. Got very aggressive with Jeff Burton post-checkers and then gave a lengthy interview that did him no favors. It all started on this restart.
Well, it seemed like Sam got a little aggressive there on the restart, moved Jeff up out of the lane. Jeb was furious at how that went down. Just a little bit later in the race, Jeb then returns the favor. I think Sam's frustration came from him wanting to have a little bit of sympathy that he's in the playoffs and Jeb wasn't. And this is where no line was crossed. Yep. And I think we all knew. Actually, I think all this on pit road was handled exceptionally well. No fights. Everybody was kind of discussing what was right, what was wrong. I think we all knew that Sam was most likely going to sit out this week. Just you can't wreck somebody after the checkered flag.
Updating your driver roster, it will be Ryan Sieg, as you see on the graphic, driving the 41 this weekend, Kim.
That's right, Adam. You saw that footage, though, from post-race where Jeb's team owner, Jordan Anderson, came over to talk with Sam. I actually talked with Jordan about that conversation. He said, look, I went up to Sam and I told him, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed. You are better than this. He's like, I feel like he got the message across, but Sam is still very engaged. I talked with crew chief Jason Trincherry, and he said, look, Sam asked, what can I do to still be a part of this team even though I'm out of the race car? And he said, be in the meetings all week. He asked Jason anything else. He said, you could be in the war room. So Sam will sit in the war room back at the shop in North Carolina tomorrow for the race to just take everything in, be an asset where he can. And then we talked about Ryan Sieg being in that 41 car. Yes, Ryan Sieg Racing is an affiliate team, but bigger than that, if you remember in the spring race, Ryan Sieg wrecked his car during practice in the garage. Well, he ran the backup car that they had brought for the 41, finished fourth. So just knowing that he could get what the team wanted out of the car was part of the reason Ryan is in that seat this weekend.
Yeah, and it was an impressive run for him here in the springtime, as Kim talked about from the back. In a backup car, in the spring, it was Bowman driving the 17. He was outstanding, winning the pole. Corey Day off to a great start in practice here today, driving for HMS.
Parker and I both about knocked the scoring pylon over in the booth when we saw the 17's lap times at the beginning. Just really impressive. You see right there, top 4 overall lap times. And I think based on what Bowman did here in the spring, we knew the car was going to be good. But I think Corey Day has done an exceptional job at continuing every single week to get better. We're going to have him a lot next year. It's going to be fun to watch it. Look at that thing sliding around. I think he's done an exceptional job, though, at getting better each week, Parker.
I agree with that. And, you know, to go in such a high-profile ride when it says Hendrick Motorsports beside the owner, that's a big deal in NASCAR. And it's going to mean there's going to be a lot of eyes on you, a lot of pressure. And with his limited amount of stock car experience, I think he really jumped in the deep end, but has shown how quickly he's evolved and figured this out. And I mean, this is just more proof to the pudding there to be top 5 immediately in practice here at Phoenix.
Had the top 5 his career best at Las Vegas. But another thing that's impressive that gives you confidence here, he was top 10 at St. Louis, a similar type racetrack. Let's make the transition. Carson Kvapil, 15th. Here's team radio.
I started sliding through the center of 3 and 4, like not entry, but drop it down in to the center. I could feel the left rear was unhooking, making me free in. It would just carry through. 1 and 2, I can hook the line pretty good. Probably can use the side bite getting off the corner. Like, I don't know, I kind of want to make the front turn better, but drop the track bar or something, if that makes sense.
He wants the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I was
he
right
there.
He's basically saying, I'm too loose.
I want the turn better.
I want the front to work better. Now, to unpack that a little bit is you can be in a position where you maybe want rear security, which he's asking for, put the track bar down, which can kind of put the right rear in the track a little bit, give it a little bit of what he's calling side bite or lateral grip, and still want maybe more feel out of the front end in some respects. But he's definitely, that's a tall task for Andrew Overstreet there.
I thought it was an interesting comment. They said the left rear. Like, I don't know how you feel a specific corner. Maybe it's something they knew, like, hey, we've got to change. We can do in the left rear if you feel like you're loose in. So maybe it's why you reference that. Very descriptive.
But every driver has a different way they perceive the feel, right? Like some talk about the feeling the right front or the left front, and it's obviously very mental. And I think it's just sort of whatever you gravitate to as you're learning.
Yep. Talk about driver changes. 18 this week. Once again, Justin Bonsignor in for William Sawalich. Had that hard hit at Talladega 2 weeks ago. Still in the concussion protocol. Everyone down there said he's feeling much better, but just wasn't quite ready to get back, and no need to risk it with this being the final race of the year. So enter, Justin Bonsignor, who did an outstanding job last Saturday evening at Martinsville, getting his first career top 10, and he's never been to Phoenix, so I'm anxious to watch what he's able to do here, and now we rewind to that big crash at Talladega.
Yeah, you see the 18 on the top of your screen right here. Saw the whole car come off the ground when that impact. It didn't look like he had slowed down quite a bit. I would just say that I think everybody needs to give him an attaboy for for staying out of the car.
Yep.
To get healed, we know without a doubt the worst thing you can do as a driver if you're concussed is to get another one in a short period of time. So that's really hard as a driver to do, but I think he needs to get props for getting out. I talked to Justin in the garage, said he got the call on Wednesday that he was going to be back in the car, and I was like, oh, it's great. I'm like, how'd you prepare for this weekend? And he's like, video. And I'm like, you've never been here? And he's like, no. And I'm like, all he did was watch video. And I'm like, Justin, you're climbing the steepest mountain ever.
Yeah,
this whole year with the tracks that he picked, and then the preparation this weekend, he's like, I was already here. So that's tough to get in a car, a track you've never been to. Go out and do it.
Look at Brendan Queen, second on the board. And it seems like every week he does something that surprises us. Going to be full-time trucks next year, but finishing out the year in the 11. And the ARCA champion was second here in the ARCA race earlier this year, so does have a little bit of experience.
That's incredible. I mean, to jump in this car, I feel like everything. Here's the thing: when we watch these, like the ARCA races on TV, and you see him have success, you're like, well, it's the ARCA series. You try to justify it, right? But every time he gets in a car, he shows tremendous speed. And I think to come here in just his 5th race in the Xfinity series and put up a lap like he has, I don't care winning one out, it's pretty impressive.
It's awesome. I think the whole story is amazing. It's his story of basically thinking his racing career was over and then getting more and more chances to getting to ARCA, winning there, winning the championship. Then suddenly this 11 is open, gets the opportunity to run this. That leads to the Ram truck deal for next year. It's just an amazing story. And I forget how his age at times. He's 27 years old. You think of a young driver coming out of ARCA, maybe in their early 20s, that sort of thing, but he's definitely a more mature set of years, and I think that's playing well for him with all these opportunities he's getting, but it's so cool to see.
Well, in Colleague, a big part of the news cycle this week as well. You referenced the Ram truck deal. They're going full-time truck racing next year with 5 trucks. So they're going to take a pause with their Xfinity program. And this is a big loss because you just can't make a big enough statement about everything they have done in the last 10 years. First start coming February 2016. I remember when Chris Rice was the crew chief. Blake Cook was the driver. We said when we were at Talladega, that's where they got their first career pole. To see them grow this into what they have made Colleague racing, the wins, regular season championship 4s, a cup operation where they won, just remarkable. And really their foundation laid right here. Pretty cool.
I remember asking the question, who the heck's Matt Colleague? Little did I know, a stalwart of NASCAR, the Cup team, the Xfinity program that they've had, been so successful with, now a Truck Series program. Yeah, I think it's definitely a loss to lose them. It's great. They've been the great competitors in this series and how much they've grown that program. All the great races we've seen that from AJ Allmendinger driving those cars and resurrecting his career in many respects has been super cool. So I'm sad to see them go, but I have a sneaking suspicion and I hope the Colleague Racing will be back in the Xfinity Series. Chris Rice, who runs that team, he loves the Xfinity Series.
If you're an 88 fan, you got to like what you're seeing right there. Similar amount of tires on all these cars. See Connor be able to drive by both Sammy Smith and Brendan Queen. Pretty good run he's got going.
Just over halfway through practice for the Xfinity Series. All the playoff drivers have been out. They look solid, but still plenty.
I would say, I definitely had better grip on exit again, but I've lost, just my front end. I wrapped better than I did the second run, but right there, it's on the edge of just jumping sideways into 1 and 2 as it's sliding nose, and then, I have to really back entry up into 3 to get the bottom. If I miss the bottom barely, it just slides the front end. You can almost feel like the right front, bouncing a little bit because of it, especially when I get back to throttle on exit because you're using it. And then I had bad brake shake, and now the pedal's just kind of wobbling.
Let's get you in here, get the fans, look everything over here. Did it get better when you turned the fans off, the brake shake?
I thought, but it's still there. It didn't do it until I had fans on, and then it's just kind of been there since. I know our pace was not probably where we wanted to be. I don't know how bad.
They're more than likely too cold when they're shaking. We'll get some temps here and work on get the fans on after you get everything here.
Oh, good. Is our pace way off, you think?
No, I'll let you know if your pace is way off if you need to work on it. Don't freak out about that.
Yeah, the 25 and 88 were able to just like get in harder and then also use throttle harder, where like if I got in hard, I just lost nose and then I had no grip off. The free into one, I think everybody's kind of dealing with it. I think it's partially track. I feel like, you know, when the sun starts to go down, that's probably going to get better because it's probably going to grip up. But yeah, I definitely think my best feel, which is hard to say because of the tires, was the out run. But I've kind of lost that front end feel since.
Yeah, did you move your lever straight up and down?
No, because I wasn't like free in where I felt like I needed that. It just was like I got in fine. It's like once I got down in there, I just kind of got free.
For stability, I mean, I'm at half a round to the front now on the brakes and kind of found a sweet spot with what we're dealing with for that. But it does just seem like if I back the entry up anymore, there's not quite enough front rotation through the middle of the corner that I can pick the gas up and make up for it. Like right where I'm at right now, I feel like I'm gonna end up with the sponge
security
like
everywhere.
center
Good
dead
for about
seat
10
where I
laps,
almost have to
then
overslow
built
the
looser,
car some a little
and yes,
bit.
he put the fastest lap on the board, but then the significant fall off. They brought it in, made some changes, put him back out. Did it get any better? Take a listen to the radio.
Is it driving better, Connor? Yeah, a little better. Still don't really have the security I want on entry. Like, I'm just kind of drifting. I feel like your exit looks better. It's just kind of like you said, that entry is center, kind of how you can roll that and get through there good. You lose a little bit kind of center to entry to center, and then the exit's okay.
So you can see Connor back in the garage now for more changes. He said just really no right rear security off. He said, but it's also not turning for me. And he asked Crew Chief Marty Lindley, you see right there, climbing down from the hauler. But what is this going to look like tomorrow when the track cools off, which is a great point, how to keep up with the race as we see migration throughout the course of it tomorrow.
You know, I want to pick up on that, and I want to go back to some of that spotter audio that we heard and maybe build on what Ken's talking about there, because you heard Josh Williams on the spotter stand, and you referenced all the lanes that you can run down in turns 1 and 2. What role does the spotter play in this race tomorrow, in a race here ever, because of the movement that you need to be taking as a driver to help speed and what other guys are doing on track maybe that are gaining or losing to you?
So, first of all, you know, to unpack that radio a little bit, what he's describing to Connor is like, hey, I can kind of see where you're lacking maybe some speed on entry that compared to what I'm seeing out there, and therefore, you know, but trying to say, hey, but the bright side is you have a pretty good exit right here, which you want to have. But that entry portion, that can be really tough. That's pretty typical here at Phoenix to have sort of an uncomfortable feeling on entry. You're always trying to work that out. But if you go too far, then the car won't turn to center. So you got to find that right balance. And then for the spotter in the race, the restarts. I mean, this is insane. It's crazy. It gets 4 or 5 wide. You get to turns 1 and 2. If someone gets
wasn't great.
Started off that run really good.
Carson Quapple started on the front row.
We kind of fell off there the last 3 laps.
Martinsville has the #1 pit stall. Something else to think about as we look forward to tomorrow.
Sorry to re-interrupt you a little bit, but he was in a big slide there down into 3. His hands went right, and the car just continued up the racetrack.
If I let off the brakes
this place.
sooner, like
I
the brakes
enjoyed this place on old tires.
but the
I
higher
found it difficult.
I just can't
just can't hold them.
Good at all those specific tools that you have to have as a race driver, and I think it just lines up with his driving style. I'd love to hear some radio from the 17 and see what they think about their car, the fact that they weren't able to rip that super fast lap off. Because in the spring here, he wasn't good on the short run. But man, you get 15, 20 laps on the tires, and all of a sudden it was like a switch flipped on, and he was extremely good on the long run. I don't know if it's because he managed it better at the beginning, but that's kind of been his strength. I feel like throughout his whole career is being great on the long run. The one thing about this race, we get some long runs, but at the end it seems to always come down to a green, white, checkered or like a short run. So you got to make sure your car will fire off well.
You mentioned long run speed. They qualified outside the top 10. I think he started 14th here in the spring. And it was amazing how quickly he worked his way up to the top 10, top 5. The other side of that, though, you know, Carson Kvapil didn't qualify great, finished 26th, but they spent the first half of the final stage in the top 10. It's like, though, when it falls off here, it just goes off a cliff if you don't have that long run speed.
Which is awesome. Like, that's what, I mean, the drivers will tell you that, and as a fan, that's what you want, is to see this massive fall off, and if your drivers doesn't, like, you see people able to pass, and Parker mentioned how wide the track gets. And car will get light on entry. So right there, what did he do with his hand? He went down to the brake bias lever. This isn't what Junior Motorsports decides to run. Instead of a turn dial style brake bias, they have a lever down there that moves the brake bias basically forward or back in I'll attach the seat.
Yeah, copy. I'm not so sure you can learn too much here with as old as these tires were. But if I hit my center good on that long run and I'm pointed the right way, like my drive's pretty remarkably good. Yeah, sorry, I got happy with that run and just wanted to see where it went. So, when you get done with this run, make a hot run at pit road, and you can run a full pit road, and then stop and get me a tire sheet. Copy. Water tank.
entry by half. Headlight lower, still by half. Trying to look inside at the bumper. Inside now by 11, still down there. At your door. Even with him. Nothing behind him. Clear, 29.88 last time. On the board. All right, this time here, 7 green and 3, 2, 1, right here. 7 green. At the line up here, I'm going to get you to 4 red. Not yet. We're going to go to 4 red and 3, 2, 1, 4 red.
Closing on 10 minutes to go. Practice for the Xfinity cars at Phoenix. Here's the championship tour box score. When you look at where all these drivers are over the wall here, 10-15 lap average and overall laps they put up in the session.
But Jesse Love's going to sleep good tonight. I'm telling you, when you get to see that mentally, that's huge for him to know where the balance of his car is, see what the overall speed is.
All good, buddy.
You feel good if you're a two-car guy.
Nothing's changing to the rear.
One thing
I got plenty of grip off, and I can jam on the gas whenever I want. The
sticks out to me, though,
corners
is
just feel
as
really
you
connected right now.
Down a little bit since we went to that other rear package there.
Usual. These four seem very closely
What you want there? I mean, I think the shaft springs, yes. I don't know about the shocks. Do you want to put these shaft springs on the unload shock?
And that two-car was very involved in the garage this afternoon, and obviously just an icon in this sport. But Jesse talked about this week how their relationship this year has really evolved. He said, since I started driving for RCR, I always appreciated
your balance here. I just saw you struggling a little bit, so I wanted you to talk to Brad about your balance here and what you need. Yeah. I think it's still just a little tight center, especially on the older tires.
Richard Childress Hall of Famer.
To do brakes, I wonder? Yes, well, not our guy. It's all good. You have your fans on the whole time there? Yeah, 10-4. All right, 10-4.
Around the corner there, guys. You have to manage your water temp there.
And
one pulling out.
That they put in together, really special moment for them. Well, yesterday in the airport, I ran into Connor Zilich's parents, and I felt like hanging out with them and just having a conversation. You got, I think, the most nervous people are someone like the parents, your family, probably as you go into a race like this where it's one race aside a championship. I can tell they were pretty nervous, and I have to think if you're Jesse Love's dad, same feeling of just.
You want to put some front to it or not, but I think it's fine to leave it, but just kind of think about.
You don't have anything you can do at this point. You're out of your control, and it's just how big it is and how much is on the line and how much you want it for your family, and it's just I have to think that they, if anything, it's probably easiest to be in the car.
Did the Zilich family try to get a selfie with you, or is that?
We've won a race together. So, yeah. We've got one.
Well, hey, if you're Richard Childress, we saw him on camera earlier. Good opportunity for him to have success with both both of his cars this weekend. Of course, Jesse Love in the Drivers' Championship 4, Austin Hill in the Owners' Championship 4, which is very much something that matters to this group, matters to Chevrolet, and of course matters to RC as the owner of this car. So they're still fighting with plenty of fight here this weekend. Something to keep in mind with these guys too, they've been working on their balance all day. They wrecked early in the spring, didn't get a great read on how the car trends towards the end of the race, so they had a couple things they were going to try, and now they're just going to run this session out here with 6.5 minutes left just to get a good read on the long run on used tires. So lots to learn for this group, and still lots to fight for the 21.
No doubt. And that win at Talladega, I was talking to Chad Haney about this earlier. Not only does it set them up to be a part of this Owners' Championship race tomorrow, but you think about the momentum that a late season win does for the following campaign, in particular because you win at Talladega and we start 2026 with a couple of draft races in the O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Way to work it in, Adam. Wow, that's going to take a while to get used to.
I need to start finding my rhythm on that.
We're taking a look here at Brennan Poole, who's 21st right now, but you're mentioning owner points and the Owners' Points Championship. There's another battle happening in the series right now that comes down to this final race, and that is the battle to be top 20 in owner points. 20th is the first paying position, basically. It's worth about 6 figures more for 21st. And this car, 44 for Alpha Prime, is in a 3-car battle separated by 6 points for this 20th place position in owners' points. It might not sound like much, but it's a big deal for a team like Alpha Prime to be there and have that opportunity in a career year for the organization. They told me in every statistic, this is our biggest year ever for Brennan Poole. So it's another battle you might see going on here tomorrow night. And it's just everyone's racing for something, right? But this one is definitely interesting to see. It would be a major accomplishment because they're up against Basic Colleague and some real powerhouse organizations.
Okay, good to go right there.
And trying to finish the season off strong. Been some bumps in the road in recent weeks for that 44 team. Carla?
Yeah, here with Carson Quapple, who just climbed out of his car. 15th on the board, but you're right behind Justin Allgaier. I know you told us earlier this week you were coming with a similar setup, but what'd you like about your laps out there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about our car, honestly. There's some stuff that it does a lot better than it did in the spring, and that's the biggest thing, trying to make gains on it from the spring race. And all these guys in this Johnny Moore's Fast Road Shop, Spanish Technology Chevrolet, they gave me a car as fast as Xfinity Mobile this weekend, I think, and obviously we're just starting here in practice, but I feel pretty good about it, and there's some stuff we need to work on and stuff we need to get better, but we were able to work on it a little bit and bring it down and make a change and see if we can learn something. So I think we got a pretty good piece. We'll just see how it qualifies tomorrow.
A lot of conversations right now about the heat on the track and how that's probably going to cool down tomorrow night. Is there any communication between your team right now on those adjustments?
Yeah, definitely. We just haven't really got into that yet. Obviously, in practice, we're kind of in the heat of the moment, just letting each other know what it's doing, what we see, and probably overnight tonight we're going to really talk about it and see and kind of determine what the track's going to do temperature-wise, and to see how it's going to affect the car on the track. So I guess we'll see. We'll have to think about it and bring our best piece tomorrow.
You seem calm. How are the nerves right now?
I feel great. I have no pressure on me right now. Honestly, if you would have told me a month ago or 2 months ago that we'd finished, we'd be in the Final Four, I'd be super pumped. Afterwards, we're going to finish 4th, which I think is a lot better than the season we've had, but we also have a really good shot to win the championship, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Adam, I got a question for you.
Fire it off.
You have exceptional memory.
Oh, boy.
More knowledgeable than really anyone else I know. As I was looking at Carson get interviewed there, I saw Bass Pro Shops on his suit. And I know that he's in the Championship 4, and Chase Briscoe with Bass Pro Shops is in the Championship 4. Have we ever had a sponsor be in the Championship 4 in 2 of the 3 series?
You know who could answer that question for sure? Johnny Morris. I bet he's aware.
Good point. I think that's really cool, though. You think about all the sponsors we've had in the sports over the years. It's pretty awesome to see that he's made it to the Final Four with both his cars. Go ahead.
I'm going to say, what about Menards and Penske with Blaney and then the Xfinity car?
Yeah, that was Discount Tire a lot on the Xfinity side.
Adam off the top rope.
See, I don't know, but
what we got here?
Corey Day. Let's go to.
Oh, no.
That's
now, little tap
Now, when we're running for a championship in Miami next year, that's the lane you want to ride, right?
And I would say in Corey Day's book, that's just normal. That's what he does every single weekend. He's a sprint car guy. He's like, I just jumped the cushion a little bit. It looked like he got in just a little bit hard. And once you get above the groove, you get in some of the rubber slide up like that. But it doesn't look like he hit too hard. I think he's okay.
And you can end up, you will end up out there.
It's just got to get cleaned off.
Yeah, but it takes a while. There's a lot of debris out there. You had Truck Series qualifying earlier, but they're just running the bottom and spitting debris up there. So it takes a while for the track to sort of clean up and navigate to that or gravitate towards that point of the racetrack. That was just a bit too high.
And I would say Corey, being a rookie, being young, trying to learn a track, they probably said, look, we've already run the goodie off the tires. We ran some good lap times. Go out and just try to learn. Oh, looks like we got maybe someone else into the wall.
Daniel Dye, maybe?
Good job, guys.
Wow, tire issue, looks like. Or is that just a result of being hit the wall? A minute to go in practice.
That's so frustrating to be so close. A minute of practice left to have that issue.
I will say, though, I mean, on a weekend when you get to practice on Friday, if you're going to have a problem,
broke a brake rotor. That's what probably didn't cut the tire down, but sent him up into the wall.
Had done 40 laps.
And that happens a lot here. That most likely will happen to somebody in the Cup race and the Xfinity race over the course of the weekend. The truck race possibly too. You got these long straightaways and the brakes get hot and then they cool down by the end of the straightaway. And once it does that so many times,
and we hear often in this place, brake shake is an issue, and that brake shake happens because of what you're describing, where it gets super hot in the corners as you use them, and they cool way down on the straightaways. They start to get almost warped, basically, and then eventually they can fail if there's cracks in the rotors and that sort of thing. So it's really unfortunate, but this is not uncommon to see here as we're looking back into turn one. He's at the top of the screen. Oh, yeah, just way too much speed. Obviously,
the brakes, he didn't have any brakes. Stop it. Fortunately, he was fairly close to the wall when he turned in right there. We get another look at it. You see, as soon as he tried to get on the brakes and turn down the corner, he knew he had no pedal.
Almirola said, get me away from that, right?
Well, yeah, and if you're behind that, if the rotor does explode, you probably see some pieces coming out from the back of that car.
Probably here.
Cut the other guy's tires down really easy too. That's what brought the caution out. We were here in the spring. Was Carson Popple had the same issue into turn 3 and blew a tire out, hit the wall, and had brake rotor on the track.
A lot of people
these guys are relieved that they were not out there, not a part of it, had a great practice, got a little smile, got to be feeling loose. Oh, yeah, a little bit of confidence.
A little swag down there in the 2 camp, Dylan.
Yeah, let's get his thoughts here. Just looking at our monitor here. Okay, says the car's pretty good on the long run. 3rd overall here. How much confidence have you got in the 2 car?
It's definitely as fast as Xfinity Mobile. All the guys at the shop, PCR engines, and everybody back.
Unhook a shock.
One adjustment. We kind of made the first 2 runs and didn't do a thing to it. Just kind of see where the track went, what the heat cycles did, fuel burn off, all that good stuff, and I moved a couple of things around, but made the things really fast.
All right, we like that from Jesse Love, feeling good behind the wheel of the number 2.
I say if Jesse Love wins the championship, Adam Alexander has to wear those sunglasses at the banquet.
Why not?
Why not? Be a good look.
Break this down.
This is what everybody's going to look at tonight. All 4 of these guys are going to go back, sit down with their crew chiefs and look. And when I look at that, I tend to like the red line the most. Parker, what do you think?
It looks good.
The very last time.
Point 1, which is Jesse Love, who we just spoke to. That second run, pretty indicative of that long run speed that he had. You see that right there, that second after they've pitted and then come back out. That to me is that's something for the competition to keep an eye on.
It's close is what's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so
close, yeah.
Here's the final ranks from practice when you look at best overall lap. Connor Zilic first, 3rd for Jesse Love, and just outside the top 10 for Allgaier and Quappel. Think about how far Allgaier is ahead right now compared to where he was last year. Last year, he was banging on toolboxes and they were getting the backup car out.
All he needed there was a chop, basically. That's one.
That was easy.
So the stage is set. The final practice of 2025 is done. Next up, qualifying tomorrow. And then we'll run for a championship.
week on TCU, Thursday at 7:30 Eastern on TNT.
Marty Sider, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte, Dave Burns, and Kim Kuhn joining you for this 50-minute practice session here in Phoenix. Sunday's race marks the end of a wild 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season.
You came down here to watch these vehicles go.
Brian Preece is upside down.
Oh!
Got 50% of the championship four. That's two drivers, William Byron and Kyle Larson, in the championship four. And talking with the entire Hendrick camp, they said, look, we've been working really hard on our shorter flat track packages. We've seen gains and the hard work paying off at Gateway, Loudon, and Richmond. In fact, Kyle Larson said, I'd say this is probably the best I've felt about what we're bringing for the championship four compared to any other year. We've got a better opportunity to win a championship than we've ever had in the next-gen era. Now, with two cars, though, battling out for the championship, how are the 24 and the 5 approaching it? Well, Crew Chief Rudy Fugle told me, look, we're going to work with the 5 till the bitter end and then let the drivers sort it out. So, again, two Hendrick cars. But, Dave, if they want to win that championship, they've got to get through two very, very strong JGR cars.
Thanks, Kim. I checked with both crew chiefs for the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 19 of Chase Briscoe, and they both told me the same thing about the most important part of the practice today. That was the final run that they're going to get. They get 3 sets of tires to work out this practice. That means some rubber's going to get laid into the track. Late in this session, they want to know what their cars are doing. And when I talked to competition director Chris Gabehart about the plan for both of these cars, he said, oh, no. Everyone has a specific assignment, including our other 2 teammates and the other 5 Toyotas in the field this weekend. He said, we're more organized than we've ever been. That could be trouble for the competition, Marty.
Yeah, indeed, Dave. And so, Steve, let's break down this practice session. Dave mentioned it, 3 sets of tires, only 50 minutes, though. So, crew chief, how are you going to divide it up?
Well, I think there's a lot of question with this tire that's here. It's a little softer than things we've seen. We had the option tire in the spring, so there was 2 different tire compounds going on the racetrack. This is kind of old school. This is what Jeff and I grew up doing. So I would think that you're going to take this first set of tires. You're going to go out. If your car's close, you're going to make a nice long run. But you don't have to panic if it isn't. That's the difference. Normally, you're set and married to one set. If your car's off, I would come in right away, not burn the clock. You have 2 more sets of tires to figure it out.
I absolutely love this practice every single year we come here because there they are. The top 4,
yeah.
All of those guys are going to roll out. And immediately, if I'm driving one of those cars, I know how I stack up. As soon as we start, we're all rolling off together. And it's my goal to right now say the first win is practice. And you have a chance to do that. You're lined up, nose to tail. Show everybody right now you're the one to beat.
Are there some nerves as a driver, Jeff? Because so much work has gone into this moment, rolling off in practice, so much input and, sim and all the work to get the setup right. You find out right now whether it worked or not.
Well, you really do, and I'll tell you, Denny Hamlin, his comments to us yesterday I thought were fascinating. Denny Hamlin is so good at what he does, but he feels like he needs to do something a little different at this race. So he's been working hard on his driving style. So he comes here doing something a little bit different, some things he's learned from teammates, some things he's learned from other racers, and he led his team down a path on setup. If I'm going to drive this car a certain way, then you guys got to change the setup, right? And I think that's extremely fascinating going into a championship race. And you have a guy with Denny Hamlin's experience willing to say, I got to be better if we're going to win this race, and then spending all the time it took to get there. I want to see how it works out.
One thing that's different is, when we did it, Jeff, we split the field in half for practice, at least the first run. And here we're going to have basically all 36 cars, so it's going to be really hard to get clear track. You're on board right now with Denny Hamlin, the Toyota onboard camera, and you see ahead, cars rolling off pit road slow. And he's going to try to make a lap out of this, but man, he's going to be in heavy traffic.
He's hoping these guys just pull over for him, but they are not going to oblige.
So I don't like the rolling off pit road slow approach that Briscoe and Hamlin and everybody did. I like going off right away hard and make everybody blend, because now you're in a mess. You're in the back of this field, and this is useless.
It works when the field's split, right? When the field is split like we do every other week, you roll off slow, you get the field separated, you get clean air. But when every single car is on the racetrack at the same time, I'm with you, Steve. It's just better to blast out there and get going.
So is this Denny just looking for some clean track, Jeff? Because he kind of took off and slowed back down.
If he's looking for clean track, he's going to have to keep looking, because there's not much out there. A little hole right here behind the car he owns, Bubba Wallace, but slow car up ahead. I mean, it's just messy.
Of course, Denny Hamlin trying to win his first ever championship. He already has a Hall of Fame resume, win number 60 in the books a couple of weeks ago at Las Vegas. It was an emotional win, Jeff, that day for Denny Hamlin, thinking of his dad, Dennis, who has not been feeling well, certainly wants to win the championship for him, but he had to go get win number 60 at Las Vegas.
Yeah, the drive that he put on at the end of that race to just go out and find a little bit more, kind of put everything else to the side, championship, all that stuff, and just said, this is 60, right? I'm going to go do whatever I got to do to get the 60th win. And he found another gear. He found a little bit of speed, and that's the kind of wins that race car drivers love. It's the same as when you're practicing when you're a kid playing basketball in the backyard. You're shooting, you're counting the clock down, 1,001, 1,000. You hit the shot to win the championship. That's what is the equivalent of for a driver winning a late race battle.
19 Chase Briscoe also tons of cars in front. He'll get a good idea of how his car is in traffic. He's hoping to not be in much of this traffic on Sunday.
So to your point, like, it's very hard to compare our championship 4 because they're all in different type of traffic. Wow. What is that?
That's an issue. Flat tire. Sounds like a flat tire.
Left rear for Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, so when the cars are rolling off, this is a track that you do try to run some low air pressure. And I noticed some wrinkled up sidewall, which is not anything new. Very fortunate for the 19. It happened on the racetrack. Now, the unfortunate part is you could hear what was bottoming out. That was probably some of the vertical strakes on the diffuser. That will absolutely take some speed away. The 16 also has something smoking. Is that the left side? I can't tell if
the
there's
left front just a bit on the apron, like trying to get it to turn initially, and it immediately went flat on the right rear. It felt like when I did that.
Wow. So we have 2 left side tires flat, only 5 laps into practice. So this is some nervous moments.
Well, that's a very fortunate place for that tire to go down. He immediately felt it, was able to get slowed down, had the car going straight with enough racetrack to keep it in line. That happened 100 yards later, he could have been in big trouble.
We've run this tire combination at New Hampshire, Richmond, Martinsville, you know, in the spring, but this is by far the fastest and the most loaded racetrack we've run this tire combination. Let's listen into the 19.
Kind of vibrate just ever so slightly for lap 2 or 3, but didn't really think anything of it. Yep, copy on that.
Yeah, little vibration, which, like you said, he didn't really have any concern with that. So now he's just waiting to probably be towed in. He doesn't want to drive it in on the flat tire. Dave?
So, Steve, the tires don't look as crinkly, I'll call that, on the left side as they did last week at Martinsville, where the minimum pressure recommended by Goodyear is even lower. But here, leaving the garage, I noticed on the way out, I was just looking at them, on the left sides, the left rear was definitely crinkly more than the left front. So lower pressure there perhaps on the left rear. Is that a speed secret you guys try to work on a little bit?
Well, just like at the high-speed mile and a half, you want air out of the left rear tire to get the back of the car down. This is a very aerodynamic racetrack, even though I consider it a short track. It's not a short track by definition. But that's, I think, the crux of this place, Jeff, right, is it's kind of a short track tire. And I think down in 1 and 2 on the flat end of the racetrack, when the 19's tire finally went flat, you could probably run much less tire pressure than you can on 3 and 4, or crazy enough that you can running the front stretch. The transition from the front stretch to the flat and back to the front stretch is some of really the most spike load you're going to put into a tire. And if you do that early, you could damage the tire, and then it goes flat like what happened to the 19.
And remember what A.J. Allmendinger said, the minute he got on the apron of the racetrack off the banking, and immediately it lost air pressure.
Steve, listening to that onboard, I mean, I as a fan would go, is he scraping the entire underbody of the car as he's going on? Does that worry you as a crew chief?
Yeah, oh yeah, I don't love any part of what just happened. I mean, if I'm James Small, this is concerning. I mean, you see that the rocker panel's sitting on the ground, so no clear damage, but there's without a doubt damage underneath this race car. They're going to put this car up. They're going to be able to check, see how much it wore off the rub blocks. More importantly than the rub blocks, though, is that rear diffuser, the vertical strakes. So this car makes so much downforce just as the air goes underneath it. Now, the beauty here is, unlike the intermediate tracks, they don't have that big diffuser, right? So you see the back of the car is way cleaner than at a high-speed track, but you see these two vertical areas right here. That's probably what drug, and it looks like the left one has a little dragging to it. So it's not quite as concerning as, say, we were at Kansas, because there's not as much to drag off, because it is a simple diffuser. See, if you look underneath there, you can see all the bumper structure. If you were at Kansas, you couldn't see all that. That would be covered by the paneling.
And you know what I noticed, Jeff, is I noticed members immediately from Christopher Bell's team there to help Chris Sherwood, the car chief, who's excellent at this kind of, triage, if you will, at the last second. So they brought all hands on deck here from Joe Gibbs Racing.
For sure, and that what they want to know, everything just Steve said. I mean, if you wore off thousandths of an inch off of those strakes, you want to get that repaired. That is important to make downforce.
Now, the interesting thing is, unlike a normal weekend, the car's not impounded. So every week we go through inspection, you push the pit road, you run 20 minutes, you qualify. You can only change what NASCAR is going to approve. The 19 still has control of their race car. So if James Small doesn't love what he sees on that floor pan, doesn't love what he sees in that diffuser, they can make a change. Now, the problem is, with 44 minutes left in practice, you're not going to make that change and practice. So you're going to have to decide what the priority is, what you want to use your time for.
Jeff, if you're Chase Briscoe, what's going through your mind right now? You got, what, a half lap on the track, and then this happened.
Just calm yourself down. Understand that there is still time in this practice. There's still time in the weekend. Every championship runs through challenges. There's never a championship that gets won in any sport that's easy, right? Right off the bat, this is a challenge to their championship battle. But this is why you have that kind of guy, James Small's crew chief. That's why you have that talent around you, is it to be able to overcome these things. But what worries you is you're sitting here learning nothing, and your competition is on track, and they are getting smarter every lap that they make. This is definitely a disadvantage to this point.
I think this is that moment where, I always like to stay off the radio. I'd be sticking my head in the window. It'd be a face-to-face conversation with my driver. I'd be like, look, great job. You didn't wreck the race car. We're going to take a look, see what we have to do. It's kind of like a good quarterback in the 2-minute drill. You can get a lot done in 2 minutes in a football game, or you can get nothing done. And I think at 43 minutes, you see, look, James isn't running around panicked. He's waiting for his guys to report back on what they need to do. And at this point, I think it's really about quality over quantity. So I would say, hey, if we have to burn 20 minutes to get the car right, what I don't want to do is go run 43 minutes and then think, oh, man, the car wasn't right anyway.
And I think this is where, we talk about how this is Chase Briscoe. You see him giving information and feedback. And now look at this, Christopher Bell.
Well, now
with an issue.
Yeah, so now they know that air pressure, camber, rear setup is not going to be acceptable, right? They know this team right now has to go to work. They have to change something in regard to whether it's air pressure, camber, setup, whatever it is what they unloaded with is not going to get it done. That to me is the bigger challenge. They've spent all of this time getting ready for this race, getting ready for and coming with what they think is the best possible setup. And now you have two cars out of that camp that have had a left rear problem.
I was waiting to see if the 11 was going to come in and maybe change tires. You don't really just want to put air in it. The damage is probably already done if you were too low. But it seems like he's staying on the racetrack. Dave, what are you hearing in the garage?
Oh, they're talking to him right now. They told Denny both the 20 and the 19 have had the tire issue, so just be very aware and pay attention to what you're feeling behind the wheel of the 11 car.
And now the 99 of Daniel Suarez. This is getting insane. I mean, red flag's out. That's the fourth car now with a left rear or left side issue. AJ Allmendinger's was a left front. But
so once again, we've run this tire combination at New Hampshire and Richmond, Martinsville back in the first Martinsville and the second Martinsville last year. But basically, New Hampshire and Richmond are the ones that I would consider most similar. But like while New Hampshire has decent top speed, it's a very flat racetrack, Jeff. Not a lot of vertical load. Some bumps into 3 that can damage a tire. We've seen flat lefts there before. Richmond, as crazy as it sounds, doesn't have a lot of loading. It's kind of a slippery, not a lot going on racetrack. But here between 3 and 4, and more importantly, the front stretch. That front stretch transition is violent on a tire to go on and off the flat. So I think if I'm a crew chief in the garage, I'm probably leaning on that extra set of tires and maybe make it.
With in the spring race, we've brought a tire that's got a lot more grip in it. The pace is up, which means the tire deflects more. When you get down in the corner, the contact patch rubber is sticking to the racetrack and making that tire actually bend more. That puts more stress on the belt package in them, and that and really it requires a little more inflation for support, because although we thought it was fine earlier, we've added grip to the tire. We actually having to figure out where we have to go to on increasing pressures to make that tire lift.
So how much of these teams down in the garage area now begin to go back and forth and try to find out what air pressure some of these teams that we've seen already started off the day with, so they have a better idea and a baseline?
You're trying, but it's like playing poker. Everybody's got their poker face on it. And even Goodyear, I'll be honest, most of the time they got the real numbers from us, but a lot of times Goodyear doesn't. When a tire's failed and they ask for it, they probably don't get the real number of where the air pressure got set.
So on the racetrack right now, we're seeing something that's very unique. Daniel Suarez is actually driving the wrong way on the racetrack. If you're not familiar with the layout of Phoenix Raceway, pit entry is in turn 2. His problem happened halfway down the back straightaway. Instead of Daniel going all the way around the racetrack and entering pit road in turn 2, they've allowed him to turn his car around, and he's driving back the other way towards turn 2. He'll do the U-turn and come back down pit road, which obviously will be paying him dividends because he doesn't run the risk of damaging a quarter panel or doing any other damage to that race car. So something you very rarely see, a car going the wrong way during practice, albeit under the red flag right now.
After the first tire issue with Chase Briscoe and the A.J. Allmendinger stoppage on the racetrack as well, NASCAR added 3 minutes to the total practice time. Well, since then, we've been halted a couple of more times. So no word yet if NASCAR is going to continue to add time. I gotta be honest, these teams understood the test that was in front of them. Yeah, they may have mistakes out there on air pressures like Todd just described, what could have happened out there. But this is something I think everybody is going to make quick adjustments to.
Todd, would you bring your driver back to the garage to put more air in the tires? And if so, how much air would you put in it?
Yeah, I can't really put air in this tire because the damage has already been done. And typically we don't see it. The damage gets done when the tire has the least amount of air in it. Those first 2 laps on the racetrack is when the damage got done. So
if I want to do something safe for my driver, I've got to put more air pressure in a new set of tires and put a new set of tires in the car.
We'll keep a close eye on it as the track is back under the green flag, and we're resuming practice as we speak. Kyle Larson rolling off of the pit lane. He'll make his way back out on the racetrack. Let's follow up with Kyle Larson in his garage with Chris Wilner. What were they saying about Larson's car in his opening couple of laps of practice?
Yeah, well, it was hard for Kyle, who came over the radio and said, I just need to get more than 5 or 6 laps under my belt to see where the read of the balance is. But off of that first tire failure that brought out the first red flag, he came over the radio and told Cliff Daniels, he said, it is just way too tight on corner entry. I mean, I have no absolute steering going into the corner, and it just feels like it wants to push up towards the wall. So they brought him down, made some adjustments. They jacked both sides of the car up, making adjustments on his Chevrolet. He has since been down again under the second red flag. Much better, but again, now just focus on finding a balance once we get the read on the tires, hopefully on a long run after this resumption of practice. On the other side, William Byron, he's been cognizant of the potential of what these tires could do. Rudy Fugle had told him before practice, he said, remember the wheel force test that several teams had here earlier this year? They saw some tire failures and some cording on rear tires going on there as well. So it's one of those aspects that they're keeping note of for William Byron and Kyle Larson. William Byron even said those first 2 runs, I just tiptoed around the racetrack just to make sure that we were good there. So certainly everyone is aware of those tire issues we've had so far. Hopefully we get a good run here. But right now the Hendrick Motorsports Group just trying to hope for a long run to get a good balance on both of the race cars.
Well, right now William Byron is 5th. Kyle Larson is 11th. It is the Gibbs cars that are substantially down the leaderboard right now. Denny Hamlin is in the garage right now. Matter of fact, Denny Hamlin is 19th. Chase Briscoe is 18th. Back to Steve Post.
Now, we've talked about now Denny Hamlin. One crew member has been under the left rear of Denny Hamlin's car, and he has been in there with wrenches just adjusting the suspension of that car. Not sure if it's adjusting the suspension because of the handling. Remember, his last lap was his best lap. Or adjusting the suspension because of concerns for this left rear. Again, it's all hands on deck with Joe Gibbs Racing. There's a couple Interstate Battery crew members here. That's Christopher Bell's sponsorship. They're on the car here as well with Denny Hamlin. So they've made the adjustment to the left rear suspension on the car, and now the left rear tire is going on. The jack stands are coming out. Ironically, Denny had a 10-lap run. I talked to Chris Gale beforehand, and his strategy was a 10-lap run, a 25-lap run, and hopefully a 45-lap run. So they got the 10-lap run out of the way, but I'm not sure what's going on with these left rears. They're pushing Denny Hamlin's car out now, putting some Sunoco racing fuel in it before Denny fires this car up and heads back out onto the racetrack. It's full of fuel, and Denny Hamlin is going to head back out onto the speedway. There he goes, firing that car up. The Progressive Toyota's back out for another run.
And there's really 2 things that can affect this tire durability. The biggest one is air pressure. The other one is how much camber the tire has in it. When we talk about camber, the amount of angle that the tire is relative to the racetrack, that the top of the left rear tire is actually tipped outward so that it's leaning into the corner. But that puts the load on that outboard shoulder of the tire. So when you put more camber in it, you have to put the air pressure in to keep that part. The failure that I saw on the 19 tire is right there at the shoulder of where the contact patch of the tire and the sidewall of the tire come together. It's overflexing that joint right there. Air pressure or taking camber out might allow you to continue to run the lower air pressure, might be what they were changing on the 11 car.
We'll keep a close eye on that and everybody's left rear tires throughout the running of this practice. So far, we've been able to get some laps in here finally, some consecutive green flag laps ongoing right now, as it looks like Riley Herbst has had a bit of an issue out there on the track as well. Another left rear is down, and that is another Toyota, and ironically owned by Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, 2311 Racing. So Riley Herbst, a flat left rear tire. He's able to get that car to the pit lane. We stay under the green flag. From Phoenix Raceway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-212-2828. 800-212-2828. That's 800-212-2828.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Black Buffalo products are intended for adults age 21 and older who are consumers of nicotine or tobacco.
Hey, it's Ryan Blaney, 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion. If you know me, I did Black Buffalo Long Cut. Black Buffalo is America's only credible smokeless tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo was established in America in 2015, and it dips just like the real thing, without the tobacco leaf or stem. You can find Black Buffalo at thousands of retailers across the USA near you. Black Buffalo Tobacco Alternative. If it's everything you love about dip, nothing you don't.
We welcome you back to Phoenix Raceway as we've gotten a 10 consecutive green flag lap run finally under our belt for some of our competitors. Josh Berry is the best right now on a 10 consecutive lap average. He has got Austin Cindric behind him, Eric Jones, Ty Gibbs, and Shane Van Gisbergen is fifth in the 10 consecutive lap average.
You know, Alex, one of the conversations coming into this race weekend was what role will Team Penske play? They are not involved in the championship four. They were termed early on in the playoffs as being the yellow cars, meaning the color of the cars for Joey Logano and for Ryan Blaney. Well, right now, although he's not in a yellow car, Austin Cindric is in P1. You've got Ryan Blaney, who's P3. It's Joey Logano down in P15 as far as Team Penske and their role so far. Chris Wilner, what's going on with Team Penske right now?
Yeah, well, certainly Team Penske had the target on its back coming into the championship race. Whether they were in it or not, they know that they have.
You go back on your next set of tires.
Well, Steve, Chris Gale told me that was their plan for this practice session. Go out, run the first set, kind of let the track come in with a little more rubber, and then put their next set on. And he felt like this would be the true read of where their car was. Do you kind of agree with that thought process?
It's a great plan, but if his plan had 5 flat tires and 2 red flags in it, he's a better crew chief than I ever dreamt of being. And I think that's really the point. You can have a plan, but what's Mike Tyson say? Everybody has one until you get punched in the mouth. And I really think that's what they're avoiding. Right, Jeff? They're not saying they're isolated to this. So, all right, what's happening with all of our teammates? Let's have this on. This is where preparation matters. You can't see someone have a flat and then go ask what they have. You want someone in your camp to already know what everybody has. You heard that report by Dave about how Gabe Hart has everybody as organized as they've ever had. So as a crew chief, I don't have the mental capacity to know everyone's setup, but somebody in my team is going to be assigned to kind of everyone. Someone's going to be able to tell me what everybody else has, and now we have the 6th.
Another problem, A.J. Allmendinger into the wall here in 3 and 4, Jeff.
Yeah, that's a big impact. He hit on corner entry into turn 3.
The left side's looked up right there when we shot the left side of that car.
I looked up and saw him going straight to the wall.
Left sides are aired up.
Yeah.
Maybe of some other issue. To your point, Jeff, it's a funny spot to hit without some sort of mechanical issue.
Good to hear AJ there. Man, Halloween has not been kind here to the Cup Series, has it? Look at that impact.
The angle of impact was really shocking when I looked up and saw him headed to the wall.
Man, so much for a smooth 50 minutes of practice.
Holy Toledo. I mean, I've never seen a practice session like this, Steve, and all the years I can remember. I mean, tires, and good to see AJ moving around in the car there, window net down, going to hop out. To your point, Jeff, that was a very odd angle of impact.
Let's see what happens. Got to come into view.
Look at that.
I mean, just straight.
Did the right front go down, or what happened?
He got on the curb. Not the curb. He got on the apron a little bit. And then as soon as he gets, watch
do that again. All right, so he's the first car in frame right here. Left front's going to go down, touch the red. Is that what's going to happen, Jeff? Kind of, but not awful.
He's on it for sure. But did you see the roof flap fly? I mean, the hood flap fly up?
Yeah, I wonder if he didn't have a brake issue. I mean, right now he has both front tires completely locked up. I mean, he would be off the brakes, getting the thing to turn. Like, you wouldn't lock him down and drive straight into the frame in the fence with both front tires locked up. So I don't know if there's a throttle issue or a mechanical failure or some very, very quirky driving issue. But, man, remember, this is a hard hit.
Yeah,
this is the same driver who had that gigantic hit at Talladega.
Yeah, second one in 3 weeks for A.J. Allmendinger walking to the ambulance. Good to see that. Certainly love to hear what happened from him after that. Crazy start to practice.
make the changes to pull the set of tires on, or just get it full of fuel, make that first sticker run, as you would say, to compare a couple things here in the final practice.
As they work to get the A.J. Allmendinger car on the tow truck and back behind the wall, we'll step away as we're under the red flag for NASCAR Cup Series practice. From Phoenix Raceway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you. There's pride in self-reliance, in working with your hands, in harnessing the power of an E3 spark plug with Diamond Fire technology, yielding better engine performance. You have a choice to make. Take control of your ride, of your life, or be the passenger princess of it. Visit e3sparkplugs.com to put the power in your hands.
Drivers, start your engines!
Your home for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Green flag goes in the air and we are underway.
On the NASCAR Racing Network.
2 by 2 by 2. They're about 10 rows deep of double wide racing. Taylor Gray to the bottom. Nick Sanchez outside, and they're crashing mid-pack.
It's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on the NASCAR Racing Network.
Back here at Phoenix Raceway, the A.J. Allmendinger car is torn up down the right side of that race car. As he was going into turn 3, I was watching it when it happened. It looked like the right front went away, and that car just simply would not turn left on around the corner, and it went straight up the banking and into the outside safer barrier, a hard hit. Allmendinger got out of the race car and has made his way to the infield care center right now for the mandatory checkup.
So we continue under the red flag. They are just taking the Allmendinger car off the racing surface and taking it inside of one of the cut-ins in the walls right past the flag stand. Right now, Carson Hocevar, Todd Gilliland, also Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, John Hunter Nemechek, the first ones that are ready to go out, and indeed the red flag has been pulled back. The field now is getting the green light to go back out onto the racetrack, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Austin Cindric is the fastest, 27.402 seconds, 131.377 miles per hour. As far as the championship Ford drivers are concerned, the fastest of those, William Byron, he is 5th. Denny Hamlin is 6th. Kyle Larson is 12th. Chase Briscoe is 20th. And we've got 28 minutes left in this practice session.
So crew chief Todd Gordon, how do all these stoppages in practice mess up the agenda?
And Steve, one more replay of what happened to A.J. Allmendinger.
Yeah, a little CSI. Watch the left side of the hood right in front of the driver. I don't know if this is when the splitter hits or something happens to the left front, like it goes down, but watch, it's going to pop up right there. Jeff, you saw it live. Your eyes are better than mine. I don't know if that's it hitting the ground, but after that, look, the car's going dead straight. The splitter is on the ground. It looks to me that something in the front of this car, either mechanically, tire pressure, something failed. But this is a very odd accident to have both fronts locked down heading straight at the wall.
Well, go back. A.J. Allmendinger at the start of practice said as soon as he got on the apron, the tire failed.
Right.
And early in practice. It's hard to see.
Results the same, which is not good.
To add more evidence to your CSI investigation, Steve, it was the left front earlier for Allmendinger. Everybody else has been a left rear, but for Allmendinger, it was a left front to start the practice.
Paul Harvey will be back. Paul Harvey's coming out
the rest of the story.
We'll get it.
So William Byron now, Denny Hamlin was sure it went out on new tires, so now William Byron has clean racetrack. Now, this is when he and this team can compare themselves to the 11. I don't think there's much to compare car to car. On the first run, there was so much traffic. I thought this 24 car of every car on the racetrack was the best car because of the number of laps on tires. But now with clean air, he's really going to understand where he is.
Clean air and a fresh set of stickers.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Down the backstretch, Jeff, heading into 3 and 4, the banked end of the racetrack, heavy braking, kind of one lane right around the bottom this early in practice.
Oh, yeah, right on the bottom. Go back to the throttle. The track really opens up right here. Nobody running the apron of the racetrack. They will tomorrow. And this corner, Steve, is a completely different racetrack. It is long and wide. Takes forever to get around here.
Josh Berry, I think, kind of saw him coming, lets him go. rolls around the outside. That car looked pretty good down to that end of the racetrack.
Yeah, I think William Byron's really happy with this race car.
You see on the left-hand side, total speed, brake usage. You see the gear and the RPM staying in 4th gear all the way around. He's going to grab 5th, I think, right there. Flips the switches on with his left hand, back to the right. I mean, he's working, hands on and off the wheel.
And not using a lot of racetrack over here. Below the yellow line, I love to see that. I love a car that can rotate, run below the yellow line, not having to dime in the corner. See right here, left side tires right on the yellow line, not having to go up and then turn it back down. We saw that at Martinsville last week, but this is a different type of racetrack. On new tires, you want to be able to have a constant radius. Watch as he gets lower all the way through this corner. Gets lower and lower and lower. That looks really good to me, Kim.
Yeah, Byron right now silent on the radio, which means usually a happy driver, but it's interesting talking with the team about William and his maturation over the last few years. Remember, it's his 3rd straight Champ 4 appearance. I talked with Jeff Andrews over at Hendrick, also his crew chief, Rudy Fuel. They both agree they've seen a maturing in William where he's taken more of a leadership role with the 24 team, and that's kind of alleviated some stuff off of Rudy's plate. And the team has put their faith in their driver. So when William says something about the car or about the team, they put their trust in him and go to work to get whatever he needs done, alleviated or fixed. And so I think that's made a huge difference in this team, and just the trust that the entire crew has in William when he's giving them feedback, whether it be about the race car or the race team.
Steve, I would describe William Byron, when we met with him yesterday, as very locked in on the task at hand. How would you describe his demeanor?
I feel the same. I saw some confidence. I thought it was the right amount. I didn't think he got the cockiness, right? I thought he was just very confident. He told us something that I thought really resonated with me, and he said, you know, I've noticed that the more prepared I am, the less nervous I am. And I think that's something you unlock with maturity. I realized that later in my career, just some of the nerves was the unknown, and if you can eliminate those, you can't eliminate all of them. I mean, the pressure of the situation is still real, but I just think that he was ready for it. It's the only way I can explain it.
Said he picked that up from Scotty Scheffler. That's not a bad guy to pick up tips from, right?
Well, we think about it, when he comes here, he leads all drivers in the next-gen car in laps run in the top 5 and the top 10. So when he says something, you know, Rudy, as Kim talked about, has complete confidence in him, but especially here, right? He's run so well.
Denny Hamlin with some clean laps on this 2nd set of tires that Dave told us about. They got to feel better on this 2nd run, Jeff, with where the car is compared to where they are with the 24 and the other competitors.
See right there, the back of the car, not stuck to the racetrack quite the way they want.
I thought you asked Denny Hamlin a very interesting question, Jeff. He talked about this sort of new approach to Phoenix, and you asked him, how do you stay in that mode? How do you not slip back into your old habits? And he said, I might very well do that. I'm going to try and stay focused on my new approach to Phoenix.
It's so difficult trying to do something different than what you've done, and then when things don't go exactly right, immediately, instinctively, you want to go back to what you were doing. I mean, we all do it, right? I do it all the time playing golf, and that's where you really, I think, maturity matters, right?
Yeah.
Being willing to try something different, even if it doesn't work out, having faith in it, knowing when to change gears and say, okay, this isn't working. But I just think Denny Hamlin's to the point where he's like, I got to do something different if I want to win this race. And he just got committed to it, and that's what he's going to do.
I love that Jeff asked him, you know, so what are you doing different? He goes, yeah, a little this, a little that. You know, like, no, what, like, is it with the throttle? Yeah, a little bit there. How about the brakes? Yeah, a little bit there. I'm like, he's avoiding all your questions. He's not going to tell you.
Going to keep that a secret. Denny Hamlin trying to win a championship for the first time in his career, the 60 career wins, and it adds to a long resume for the number 11 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, some famous names have driven Garrett, who once dominated many racetracks in his day. Cale Yarborough, Jeff Burton's hero, also was a driver of the number 11 car. Of course, Darrell Waltrip, and now Denny Hamlin as driver of the number
consecutive lap average, Kyle Larson. Second is William Byron. So Hendrick Motorsports on the 10-lap average, they're starting to flex a bit of muscle right now. Only 3 drivers have gotten 15 consecutive laps. That will change here the longer we run.
And we just got confirmation Denny Hamlin is on older tires. So while Ryan Blaney has updated his set of tires, waiting for Denny Hamlin to do the same, we've got 26 minutes to go in this practice session. Still plenty of time to see what every car has. Ryan Blaney, we know, has speed, but when these teams transfer to the next set, they, remember, are allowed 3 sets in total, with the third obviously being the most important here at the end.
This is something for all of us to file away come Sunday for the championship race. New, fresh Goodyears are going to mean something awfully big on a short run. Based on what we've seen, Blaney now has a half a straightaway advantage on Denny Hamlin after he passed him, which has only been about 6 laps or so ago.
And you look at this, Denny Hamlin, as we had kind of verified for us, on older tires here. We'll see where this goes. Steve Post, what do you hear about Denny Hamlin?
Well, Denny Hamlin just said, I've got a vibration late entry or late exit of the corner. The car's starting to vibrate. Boy, they didn't waste any time. Chris Gale said, give us one hot pit entry. Get onto pit road up to full speed and bring it to us. So we'll see if we can learn what's going on with Denny Hamlin, but a little vibration on his car. And I think everybody here in this garage after this practice session is just a little bit gun shy. Hamlin's going to do a full run down pit road all the way around pit road, and then he will bring the crew or the car back around the racetrack to the attention of the crew in the garage area.
And with the number of Toyota teammates and Toyota cars that have had tire pressures, I would be quick to the trigger if I were Chris Gale. I wonder if doing this and being this deep on tires, if Denny's looking at maybe making a longer run, and with the alternate strategy here, saving that last set to make a mock run at the end.
So why would Denny Hamlin, when his crew chief said, get it to pit road right now, why would he go ahead and run all the way through pit road before coming to the garage area?
Great question. The reason that you would do this is because if you think about this, when tires are cold, they're a little bit smaller. And you want to see where your lights are and what your speed is on pit road. So the lights are actually the RPMs. You set that in the dash. So there's like a light bar in the dash, and you tell the driver that you want to run all of your reds or all of your blues. They're different colors. So he'll run all of those and run down pit road, and you'll see how close you are to being maximum pit road speed here. But you want to do that on hot tires, because you can end up running the same RPM on a cold, low-pressure tire. Could be a little bit slower than what you run on a fully inflated, like race-inflated tire coming to pit road.
23 minutes left to go in the practice session. Ryan Blaney is fastest with Austin Cindric, Ryan Preece, Josh Berry, and William Byron, the rest of the top 5. From Phoenix Raceway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Yeah, copy that. I think it's the right rear.
All right, a couple things to unpack. So when he talks about a belt breaking, remember these tires, kind of how they're designed. There are belts inside of that hold their shape. And I've used this analogy before, but think about like a metal coat hanger. It's very, very strong, nearly unbreakable if you just grab it with your hands and try to break it. But if you work it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it easily breaks in your hand. The belts in these tires are kind of the same way. If you get too low on air pressure, you can damage the tire, it could go down in air, and then that belt can work a temperature much like a coat hanger, and it breaks. He said right rear. I would be surprised. I would think it's left rear from the problems we've had, but Chase is obviously a professional. He's just describing what he's feeling. And let's go back, Jeff. Remember, Briscoe said, hey, I had a vibration for a couple laps early in practice, but I didn't think anything of it, because I'm sure a lot of times as a race car driver, you just have some crazy vibrations. You can't pit every time. So I'm wondering now if just, you know, hey, did something break? Or has he seen all the flat tires so he's super sensitive to it? Because it would actually tune my attention to it as well. I'd be very nervous.
Hearing some issues for Kyle Larson, maybe. This was moments ago.
Yep, that's Phoenix. And that all started at the beginning of the corner. And this is turn 3 is such a difficult corner, because it's actually downhill down the back straightaway, downhill into the corner. Watch this. Gets behind this car. He's nowhere near the bottom, right? Goes back to the throttle, and right now the track doesn't have enough grip to hold the car right there. I think tomorrow, Sunday, it will, as the track gets rubbered up a little bit more, but just up the racetrack, and it's a little bit of slight contact.
Does that contact concern you if you're Cliff Daniels, Steve?
No, that's pretty standard. That one doesn't bother me much.
So here's another great shot of it. It's such a unique corner. Downhill, heavy braking zone. And I think Sunday we'll see him running all over the racetrack, but right now I don't think the track's clean enough to run the second lane. And I tell you something else, the sun starts setting on this corner and it shoots a glare on the racetrack, and it's so difficult to even see the yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack.
When you say downhill, are you talking about that entry portion when you kind of start turning, or where is the downhill?
Well, the whole back straightaway is downhill.
I never knew that here.
Yeah, I mean, it goes downhill, and then when you turn, you're going down into a hill to the center of the corner.
So Ryan Blaney put on a second set of tires, Steve, and went quickest.
Yeah, no real surprise, right? That was the conversation the entire playoffs, that if the Penske Fords were able to get here in the championship before, they would be their favorites. And Blaney's showing you why now as he jumps to the top of the chart. I will say, when I look at the championship 4, Jeff, I agree with you. The 24 looked really good. I would say the 5 matches his speed. The 11 looks to be a touch off. I'm waiting for the 19 to kind of make another run. He had a little bit of a slower start with that flat tire, so we'll kind of handicap them all.
Now, one thing I think you have to, if you are a Joe Gibbs fan and you think you're off pace a little bit, you're probably right. However, they probably had to make adjustments on their left rear because of the tire issues. After today's practice, they can find a way to go back and get some of what they wanted in that left rear, not necessarily with camber or air pressure, but other things with the setup to try to maximize their best opportunity. But in practice, Steve, you don't have a whole lot of time to go making major changes, but there is time between now and qualifying.
Speaking of Joe Gibbs Racing, the 20 non-playoff driver, not one of the championship 4, but also had that flat tire. He's back out on the track now.
And 8th fastest overall, as you see on the left-hand side of your screen. One here in the spring. You'd have to think that he would have been one of the ones who could contend for the win as a non-playoff driver. And I think, Steve, it's right for a non-playoff driver to win this race. You look at Penske out, Bell not in the championship 4. You know, I don't know that one of the championship 4 has to win the race to win the championship.
Funny, because I'm the exact opposite. I think it's a must-win for the championship 4. I feel that Bell is probably not going to outrun his teammates to win the race, so if he wins it, it would be in front of a Hendrick car. I think Blaney and the Penske cars are going to be fast, but they've been so fortunate here, and Ryan Blaney runs with such respect that I don't think he's going to give it up, Jeff, but I just don't think he's going to be 3 wide middle between 2 championship contenders beating and banging. But I thought that every year coming here, and Ross Chastain completely proved me wrong one year, so we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, the drivers that aren't in the championship battle, it kind of puts them in a bad spot, but a chance to win a cup race, Dave, it's a precious thing, so they will be given all that they can, but they do not want to be in a wreck with a championship contender.
Jeff, good look at Chase Briscoe's car back in the garage here. After the reboot for the failed left rear tire, they went back on the racetrack, and Chase said, when I was pulling onto the racetrack, we just need to go back and check everything. Through the corner, doing all kinds of weird stuff. Lights are all over the place. So he's back in the garage now. 15 laps total on the day. That's the biggest problem with what happened here. That tire down wasn't so bad that it went down and maybe hit a couple of things, but they've had no track time like they wanted for this 50-minute session.
Is that the driver just kind of overthinking things, Jeff, or what is that?
I think there's only 15 laps of practice. The car is, we had the tire problem. He's just not happy with what they've got going on. But look, it's 18 minutes left.
This is a whole practice. Most weeks,
this is what you have every week.
Get a set of tires put on it. Let's go figure out what they're looking for now is a baseline.
That's right.
Right? Like, where are we? Like, it's been so chaotic. I don't think they really understand where they are. So I think at this point, you put a set of tires on it, go figure out exactly what you got. This is a normal weekend of practice, as you just mentioned, and then sit down, go to work, and figure out how to make it better going into tomorrow, Dave.
Jeff, A.J. Allmendinger's back from the infield care center. You okay?
Yeah, I'll have a bruise on my elbow, but it'll be fine.
We're trying to science out this left rear's going down thing with several cars out there today. Did you feel anything unique? It's not the first time y'all have run lower pressures on that left rear.
Well, yeah, the problem was our right front went down. That's why I hit the wall. So, not sure about that. We obviously had the left rear go down the first time. Thought maybe that was just maybe a little touch too low air or what, but not really sure. But went back out there on a new set of tires, and I was a little bit tight. It wasn't extreme tight. You know, I thought at that point, like our Celsius Chevy didn't have the fastest outright speed, but it had good rear grip, so that's what I was kind of banking on. And then out of nowhere, the right front blew, getting off into the corner and killed the race car. So, yeah, I'm not sure what to think of the reasoning of why it's happening. We'll have to kind of figure it out, but it doesn't really matter. The car's killed, so rest of the weekend just kind of getting through it and going home.
Glad you're okay, and confirming, guys, they are going to that backup car, obviously.
Steve, what do you take from what AJ had to say there? Obviously, it's a left side problem the first time, and he's saying a right side problem the second time.
Well, we have to remember they still are just rubber and air, and with all the tires going down, and you could definitely hit a piece of debris. You would hate, you know, it's the only one on the right side, so I hate it for AJ. It had to be a heck of a hit. But sometimes you just get flat tires. I mean, that's the fear of everybody in the field, right? Running something over.
Got a little glimpse of the scuff there for Kyle Larson, and all of a sudden, Denny Hamlin's fourth quickest, Jeff.
Yeah, he just ran his fastest lap of the day, put a set of tires on. We talked about finding your baseline, and that's what this run is about. Kyle Busch on track, stopped. Yeah, stopped on track. Red flag coming out here.
And Denny's like, thanks, I just put a set of tires on.
I know,
terrible
exactly.
timing.
Yep.
Little scuff on the right side.
Scuff there. Cheddar's on board. Do you see?
Look, I think the left rear might be the issue of this car right here. I see the little scuffs, but there's no scuff on the tire. I believe the left rear's flat on this car, would be my guess. Oh, yep, there you go.
Yep, flat left rear for Kyle Busch, obviously affiliated with Colleague Racing. So we've already seen the problems for AJ Allman in Dinger today. That's the first one for the 8.
This is wide. This is widespread issues.
Steve, you normally see this happen early in a session as we listen for Kyle Busch here.
Yeah, I don't think he has much of an option on that.
Yep.
Really fortunate that Kyle Busch was able to save that car.
You'll see it happen early in a session and everybody kind of correct. This is pretty deep in a session, but there's 14 minutes left in a 15-minute practice.
But let's not forget, the start of this practice was a mess. People went out here, they were in traffic, they didn't run their fast lap. I mean, look at fast laps on the timing board. 17th lap, 10th lap, 34th lap, 18th lap, right? So it was a messy start to practice. So if you're the 8, you were in traffic and you didn't get your fast lap, and you're out here, and now you put a set of tires on and you fire off, you know, maybe you have clean air, maybe you run the flat. You know, there's a lot of ways to load a tire differently here. Maybe you thought you were safe, so you went a little lower because you're not fast enough. This is going to not help sleep. This is going to make it very, very sleepless night for some crew chiefs, some engineers. I'm sure the drivers aren't going to love it as well.
William Byron waiting for his shot to go back out on the racetrack. Of course, he's in the 24. Made famous by the vice chairman now at Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff Gordon, 93 wins.
Latest was Kyle Busch. Championship 4 contender Chase Briscoe, Riley Herbst, Christopher Bell, and Daniel Suarez have all had left rear deflation issues.
Red flag has been withdrawn. We're back under the green. 13 laps to go, and everybody's just easing their way back up to speed. Now Carson Hocevar is the first back up to full throttle coming across the start-finish line. Ross Chastain is behind him. Joey Logano is there. But let's focus on Denny Hamlin right now, who, as Steve Post said, is trying to continue what they've been doing. The problem is they haven't had that prolonged period of green flag time on the track to see what that car's capable of.
Well, and I feel like, Mike, and you guys just referenced it, they went to number 4 on the speed chart. That is on new tires, but you go to number 4 on new tires, you're comparing yourself to others on new tires. And Denny felt good about the race car, and when Kyle Busch had his problem, you could hear the frustration in Chris Gale's voice. He said, yellow's out, just bring the car down pit road. We're going to continue on with this run once we go back to green. But Chris really wanted to do a long run. He wanted to do a 40-lap run at the end of this one, but that caution with Kyle Busch's problem is probably going to prevent them from doing it. So Denny feels pretty good. I think they made some good adjustments on the Progressive Toyota. We'll just have to see how long they get a chance to run it and what they feel after this run. Hopefully, that is uninterrupted to the checkered flag at the end of this session.
NASCAR has added a couple of more minutes to the practice session and is now scheduled to end at 38 minutes after the hour. So we got about 13 and a half or 14 minutes left here in this practice session.
Ross Chastain has been mentioned as a driver that may disrupt the proceedings on Sunday. He always seems to run Phoenix very well, Alex, and right now he's running it well in practice.
Yeah, he is. Ross Chastain, 5th best right now on single lap speeds, but Chastain is a driver that can make his money here at Phoenix on longer runs. We've seen him do it in the past and come out with a checkered flag when it's all said and done. And let's face it, this is a driver and a team that needs something positive heading into the offseason and a little momentum on their side.
Well, right now, Ross Chastain and Trackhouse Racing is about to have a chemistry change in 2026. Connor Zilisch is going to be coming over from the NASCAR Xfinity Series and jumping in to replace Daniel Suarez, Daniel Suarez getting ready to run his last race with Trackhouse, getting ready to go over to Spire Motorsports. There will be a series of lasts that will take place on Sunday. Those are a couple of them, but I would say one of the bigger ones is this is the last race for the current Chevy car. When we go to Daytona in February, we're going to have a different Chevy car model, and Chevrolet teams will have to get their arms around something new like they had to do a few years ago with the Camaro.
And Stephen Doran is going to be their most experienced crew chief as they go forward. Phil Gould has announced that he's going to step away from being a crew chief for Ross Chastain. I believe they've hired the engineer off the 24 car to fill that position. They've brought over Randall Burnett to crew chief for Connor Zilisch in the 99 car, or whatever that'll end up being, but that ride. So Stephen Doran will be the senior member of the crew chief trio over there.
It's been a difficult year for Trackhouse in the grand scheme of things. Yes, they have gotten the victory lane numerous times with Shane Van Gisbergen behind the wheel. Ross Chastain's had flashes of brilliance like we expect out of he and that team. And then Daniel Suarez has had a couple of good, solid races, but just hasn't been able to put together green flag to checkered flag. The way things have gone here in the last 10 races of this season, Shane Van Gisbergen may be the best of the Trackhouse cars right now.
He really has come to life on ovals in the last portion of this season. Of course, we know what he's capable of on the road courses. We've seen it to the tune of 5 wins here in 2025. And now he's starting to tighten up the oval assets as well. And we'll see what 2026 will offer for Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG.
16th fastest that run. Second lap was faster.
When I compare it to other sticker tires, I think he's right in the ballpark now with the 24. Now only 2 laps in. There's still a long ways to go.
This is where...
catching traffic now.
Correct. But this is where, in my mind, Steve, you had a great point that we normally get 20 minutes of practice. You almost got to get your head around, okay, we didn't get what we wanted out of this practice, but we got enough. And let's just go figure out what has to be better.
And this team has proved to be exceptional in those short practice sessions, especially when translating that to qualifying, Steve.
Well, I've seen 3 laps so far, and they match basically the 3 laps on the 24. Maybe a touch off the 11. He kind of fired off really good. Then there was a yellow, which kind of messed up his run. There's James Small, right side of the screen, on top of the truck.
Dave, how about his teammate,
Marty?
Denny Hamlin?
And you guys were noticing how nicely the 11 fired off. A couple of things to digest here, though. There's a possible issue from earlier, and then the fire-off answer.
Yeah, the clutch is long. Copy. It's possible. You know, the fire got the fluid hot. We'll inspect everything after for sure. Yeah, copy. Firing off there. No issues, really. Not much for complaints.
Long clutch, but no complaints on the fire-off. Stevie, what do you think?
Well, listen, I think his car looks very good. If he has no complaints, I'd be very happy. This is a guy that's won 60 races. He knows what he needs. Look, the clutch issue, normally I would say, oh, no big deal, but this car has been plagued with mechanical gremlins. Broken engine a week ago. Throttle issues at both Talladega and Kansas. To mechanical issues on the 11. So we'll see if it's no big deal. Or if it is something that will kind of show back up on Sunday.
Well, especially, Jeff, if you're Denny Hamlin and you literally have been asked by the media all week long about your mechanical issues all year long because they lost an engine in the last race at Martinsville, and it's been a year littered with mechanical issues for the 11 team.
Yeah, it really has. And Denny talked.
First questions was referencing the mechanical issues, and he said it's a tough Monday morning at Joe Gibbs Racing. There's Coach right here looking on, and when a man of the level of Coach Gibbs, who oversees the whole organization, has to start talking about mechanical things, that means they've got to the highest of a concern, right? The owner should never worry about the car running the full distance of the race. So the fact that he had to answer those questions tells me that it is absolutely on the microscope. But does that mean they can fix it, Jeff, right? You would think they would have fixed it after the first or the second time, so we just don't know.
And on that, we're hearing now that the 19 car of Briscoe, he's talking about he has a vibration. I mean, this has been a crazy, he's in the pits, which I would recommend. Dave.
Jeff, it didn't take long. Radio from the driver, little vibration again, and not 10 seconds later, bring it in.
Wow. Man, Steve, I mean, where do you start if you're James Small? I mean, I've never seen a practice session like this.
This practice right here is what drove me to television.
A lot safer up here in the booth.
Well, it's just you put so much effort. And what's even more demoralizing or more pressure-packed is how many men and women back in North Carolina have put so much effort in. And now you're kind of the general on the front lines leading the troops, but you're leading 15 or 20 people who are now presenting 200, 300, 400 people's worth of work. So you're just hoping. That's where my obligation always felt, is I didn't want to let those people down who have done their part. They've given us the car to go do it. So now 1 pound of air pressure, a 1/4 degree of camber, like what do we need to do to give this guy, my job as a crew chief was always, I felt, to give my driver the ability to showcase his talents. So now if you're James Small and you and Chase Briscoe have had such a magical year, what do I have to do to make this car run all day long and not take every ounce of speed out of it? Because you just can't throw your hands up and be super conservative to go run 15th all day. That's not going to work either.
One advantage he has is his teammate, Denny Hamlin, is fast.
Yeah.
If you look at the 24 and the 11, they kind of look very similar to each other that last run. So I think you can use your teammates' information. Ty Gibbs sitting there fastest on the board.
It just went fastest with a fresh set of sticker tires, Jeff.
Yeah, so there's some information to go get. You talked about Blaney's fast. Ryan Priest has been up at the top of the board all day long. He's got good speed.
Coming off a terrific Martinsville run. I think the concern, too, for the 19, Jeff, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, just 24 laps in this practice session. I mean, the information that they didn't learn in this session is what really would worry me as Ty Gibbs tries to create a brand new line all the way at the bottom of the racetrack.
You'll see that a lot on Sunday. Normally that low on restarts, but Ty Gibbs trying to make it work. It's such a fun racetrack. Able to drive this thing in a corner. This, like I said before, this corner lasts forever. And look at the difference. That time he just didn't use as much racetrack. It's crazy how there's some grit down there. There's less banking on the apron, but you can make it work.
Check in on William Byron. Haven't mentioned the 24 in a while. Steve, what do you see in speed-wise out of this group?
I think the 24 is right in the ball game. I think they're as good as any of the playoff drivers. I would say the 24 and the 11 right now are on top of each other. The 5 had a little bit of a messy sticker run. I don't know if it was traffic, but, I would say I haven't learned who is a standout, but I think what I see out of the 24 and the 11 is, I hate to say good enough, Jeff, but it's good enough. It's good enough in practice to move forward and just keep checking the boxes and making the right decisions moving forward.
Meanwhile, for William Byron, coming off the most dominant win of his career, Jeff, and I would, momentum's worth something. They didn't have the prep time to get ready for Phoenix. They kind of put 2 weeks going into Martinsville to get ready for that race because it's
also on the radio saying he thinks he has a left rear going down, so we'll keep an eye on that.
I will tell you guys, they have 7 sets of tires for the race.
And they need about 4 more.
Well, I would just say that, you know, and there's a tremendous amount of fall off. We're talking, I don't know, a second and change over 20 laps, 15 laps. So you would love to put tires on nearly every yellow. That's not going to be the opportunity if we keep having flat tires.
Trying to figure out.
Chase Briscoe slow again on the
trying to figure out what he's doing. Like he went. I wonder if he's checking pit road speed or something.
Might be.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Yep.
So now listen, pit road speed can be complicated here because you have this straight. All right, and then when he gets to the end of the straightaway and goes into the corner, they're going to go up an RPM level because of the radius of the corner.
There
you hear it.
So look, I love this call. I love you've had a bad practice. Nothing's really gone well, but what can we take advantage of, right? What can we, this situation that we're in, how do we use it to our advantage? Just go maximize our pit road. Let's understand the high line, the bottom line, what RPMs we need to be running. I like that move.
Get something out of the session, Steve.
Got to use all the time you can.
I mean, I want to pose this question. Is he going to run it again and try a different lane, as you mentioned, Jeff? I want to pose this question for all the championship 4 drivers, Steve. Did you learn enough with 2.5 minutes to go?
Well, I think the 5 and the 11 had a couple really good long runs. The 11s was a little broken up early. I think the 24 also had a long run. Really, I think that the chaos at the start was an issue, but I think that it settled down for 3 of them. The 19 never really got that long run I think they were looking for, but they're kind of getting the rest of the work in now.
Larson trying a little bit different line.
Wide traffic in front. We'll see what he does down here. Same thing, Jeff, not following the 51. He's going to run the second lane.
So I think this will get really wide in the race. We've seen the track open up big time.
Cody Ware getting really free and waving them on. Saying, go ahead, go on the inside.
Look at that sun. It just reflects off the racetrack. Big challenge.
And Steve, to your point earlier, completely unfazed by the wall contact from midway through this practice session. They just never checked up and kept on going.
Yeah, it was interesting. You know, we've talked a lot about the summer slump of Larson, but after we talked to him this weekend, I didn't realize, you know, that he thought it carried over a little bit even to his sprint car. He was like, man, I wasn't even winning on dirt. Normally I go win a sprint car race, build my confidence. And Jeff, you and I have done it, right? Ups and downs in our careers. So I feel like while he hasn't gone to victory lane recently, he has that little flash of the Larson of old, right? A little bit firepower. And you see him on top of the 15-lap average. Kim.
Yeah, that wall damage, to your point, just cosmetic. Did not ruffle any feathers in the 5-cam. Crew Chief Cliff Daniels acknowledged it. Kyle did not say anything. Cliff said, told me we're not worried about it. In fact, all Cliff really said was Kyle was talking about how the car was responding more than anything in terms of getting in the wall, just that the entry was better, just needs a little bit more front turn without hurting the rear. So they basically moved on from that wall contact, and it is a non-factor for the 5 at this point.
You know what I'll say, Kim, is when I look at everybody's lap graphs, they all look very similar except for the 5s. He doesn't quite have the fast first maybe 1 through 4 laps, but after 10, his fall off is much less. So I don't know if that was by design, maybe it was traffic, or maybe he was just saving a little tire when they were brand new.
I think it's the line he's running. I think, you know, he's really the only one that's ventured up this high on the racetrack. Everybody else has been really tidy on the bottom of the racetrack. Watch this. Larson now, the caution's out, red flag, so he's going to come to pit road, work on his pit road speed, but I think some of that fall off could just be where he was running.
Going to try it one more time through 3 and 4 here, Jeff.
See, he's nowhere near the bottom. Not trying to be on the bottom.
And is that how the track will migrate throughout this race?
I think it definitely will. Wouldn't surprise me in 1 and 2 to see him on the wall.
See his teammate William Byron coming out to come to pit road.
Find a pit stall to stop in and just gauge your grip level there.
There you go. Hot tires. What if we have a green flag stop? Find a pit box. Get it in the pit box on hot tires. See how much grip you have. There's the sign.
Going to borrow William Byron's sign. Why not? Who's coming right behind him and had to blow through that pit stall.
Stole the sign?
He stole the sign and took it from his teammate William Byron. Man, what a practice for Chase Briscoe, Dave.
Yeah, he's standing by, hopped out of the car now. How would you assess all of that, Chase? You weren't the only one with problems, but yours started early.
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing that it's not just us, right? It's unfortunate that it's happening, but yeah, at least we're not, on an island by ourselves. So yeah, I'm sure that James and everybody on our Bass Pro Shops Tracker Toyota will figure out what we can do to, help manage that on Sunday. But yeah, definitely, alarming. This wasn't a great, practice for us just because we didn't really get to run a lot because of the issues. But yeah, we'll get to work on it and see what we can do. And yeah, fortunately, it is one of those weekends where it is an hour-long practice and you can go change things. This is one of the normal weekends we have. We'd be in a really tight box. So yeah, I'm confident still we'll be just fine. Just got to figure out what's going on.
So you are confident, not discouraged about what's happened here?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been way worse. Like I could have, I think I saw the 35, he wrecked it. And yeah, I was close to doing that. So yeah, it definitely could have been a lot worse. It could always be worse, right? So yeah, I'm confident that we'll be fine to, they've been able to figure stuff out all through the years. So it'll be no different this weekend.
Work begins now for Chase Briscoe's team to figure out what they can do better, guys.
Yeah, Jeff, he seemed very calm there. He's kind of had that demeanor the entire week, though. It seemed largely unfazed, not happy with how it went, but largely unfazed by what happened.
We've seen them struggle big time in practice and then go sit on the pole.
Yep.
Right, so he has confidence that James Ball, that race team, they have enough resources that they can get what they need for Sunday. Clearly not the start of the weekend, but in no way does it mean they're not going to have a chance to win this race.
There's the championship 4 and their wins on the season. So, Steve, you've had a chance to kind of look at the graphs overall. How would you kind of rank the championship 4?
So I think the 11 and the 24 look very similar on speed and fall off and everything. The 5, I think, is equal, but
tomorrow and for Sunday.
Yeah, I thought a good bit. It was really crowded on track and just a lot going on, a lot of chaos with the tires. But yeah, overall our car was. I think our first run was probably the best balance feel that I had, and then we kind of tried some different stuff and felt like just felt different things. So overall, feel good.
There you go, William Byron saying that first run, kind of what you saw, Steve, was maybe the best run of the day for that 24 car. So, man, what an eventful practice session to start championship weekend.
Yeah, that was more going on than I think any of these championship 4 wanted.
Denny Hamlin still talking about that clutch towards the end.